Good evening, boys and girls. Welcome back to another podcast of the Auto Better crew with me, Stats. I am your guest host for this evening, making a debut on the show. And we've got three smashing guests. We've got so much to get through. We're going to talk Tottenham, we're going to talk predictions, we're going to talk Brighton. We've got a special competition and of speed as we are celebrating the anniversary of his death this coming Saturday. So joining me is Stats and Run BT. Lovely. Thank you, Smarty, and thank you for having me as tonight's special host. A little bit nervous, but here we go. Joining me
You're
tonight.
A natural, pal.
Natural. Thank you. Thank you, Jay. We'll come to you shortly. Joining me this evening, we'll go left to right. Good evening, Smarty.
Good evening. How are you?
Very well. How are you?
Not bad, mate. Thank you.
Good evening, Carl. How are we doing?
I'm all right, Stats. How are you getting on, buddy? You all right?
Well, thank you. And good evening to the bearded wonder. Good evening, Jay.
Hello, buddy. How are you doing?
Very well. It seems like only a couple of days ago we were doing B and C, but here we are again.
It does.
The latest podcast. We've got a lot to plough on with, and we'll start just by looking back. I think we can describe the Tottenham game as a game of two halves. Excellent in the first half, Jay, and then I think the second half, Tottenham obviously came out with what can only be described as an absolute rocket from Antonio Conte, and probably deservedly went away with the points on Sunday, Smarty.
He's left us.
I'm not. Who? Me?
Smarty. Come to you first, Smarty.
I'm doing a tweet. I'm just trying to talk like. Not really paying attention. Tottenham. Fantastic first half, but like I've said to you guys in the in a little meeting beforehand, I had to take my wonderful better half out for a meal. So I missed the second half, and I'm kind of glad I did, because I'd have been a little bit upset if I'd have seen that first half, and then obviously that second half, what the fuck happened? I hadn't even seen the highlights of it, so you guys are going to have to be just going to have to fill me in as best you can. But what a first half! It was great to see some good football.
Yeah.
We seemed to be back to his best with regards to football. We were winning everything, all the second balls. We were bullying them around the pitch, struggling in the final third. But, it's good to see that they're coming back. Gellert, I thought he did fantastic, to say that we're missing so many key players as well. It's coming, lads. I mean, I don't know about you, but I'm not feeling too pessimistic about it at the minute. Although we're in 17th, and everyone's like, "Oh, fucking hell, we need to make some signings in January," and this and the other. But I'm not panicking. I'm not worried. I don't know how you guys are feeling about it.
I'm generally all right. Like, huh?
How do you sort of feel about where we are on the league table at the moment? I know we've had 12 games gone so far. There's 26 games, 78 points to play for. What's your sort of thoughts on the season so far?
Like Smarty said there, the football in the first half was absolutely brilliant. Like, it was reminiscent of what we were used to last season and a couple of seasons before, But again, like, I read somewhere, I think we're only 4 points worse off now at the same stage as we were last season. Like, if we won on Sunday, we'd have been up to 14th, So, like, I understand people are freaking out a bit and whatnot, but look, we saw a video today that back on the training pitch, and so is Cock. Like, so, we're getting these players back. Fawshaw's back in. I know people, don't think he's the saviour or anything, like, but he's been solid since he came back to say he hasn't played in nearly 2 years. Like, I think there was a lot of positives in the first half to take away without having to even consider the second half, really. Like, in the first half, there was a lot more there where Bielsa can kind of look at that and go, right, okay, we've got the first half sorted, now we just need to work on the second, which, a lot of teams, it happens. Like, and Tottenham were only the second team to outrun us in a game as well in the last 2 years or something. So, it's clicking, like, it's coming.
Jay, I know we dissected it quite a lot on Bacardi and Coke on Sunday afternoon, but just trying to look at the positives. Jack Harrison, Dan James took his goal brilliantly well. Calvin Phillips in the first half was magnificent. So, as Smarty kind of rightly says, there are positives and plenty to look forward to for this side.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I'm as I said on Brady and Kirk, I'm gutted that we threw away a game that we're there for the taking at one point, and it sucks that we don't seem to have any game management there, and it's slightly worrying, is that? But on the other hand, there have been positive signs, as you say. Harrison looked a lot better than he has done recently. James got a goal, which hopefully will be the start of a few now for him because he's been close a number of times. So hopefully that'll get him going. And yeah, I mean, we've got players to come back and a lot to look forward to in that regard. The only sort of concern I would sort of pull up is, Carl, where you said, we're only 4 points worse off than this time last season. What if 3 months down the line we're 8 points off where we were last season at that point? That we're in trouble then. So although it's not a massive difference right now, it's got to be addressed. It can't carry on that kind of deficit.
Of course, yeah, I wouldn't, like I said, I'm not concerned, but at the same time, we've got a very, very difficult December. So, we'll get into that kind of chat later on. But going back to the Tottenham game, I don't know. I don't know. It was just a difficult game in the second half, and I feel with the substitutions, they weren't what we needed, but at the same time, it was all we had. So can't knock the young ones, the young fella coming on. What was it, McKinstry? So, and Geldhard was an absolute animal, man. That lad will just plow at anyone with a foot. He just wants to run at people with a football because he scares the life out of them.
And fans love to see that.
Yeah, that's the thing. He should every chance he got, he was on the front foot, bombing forward, And he made a mug out of two of them with that little back heel as well, which was seriously tasty.
I wish he'd got a goal. I'd love to see him bag one.
Yeah, I think there's one coming for him. It's not going to be far off, I'd say.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Yeah. I do want to come to a smarty. You've looked at our fixtures, obviously, in December. We've got that horrible run with Chelsea away, City away, Arsenal at home, Liverpool away, Villa at home. Prior to that, we've got 3 massive games. Obviously, starting this weekend, we'll talk about the Brighton game a little bit later. Brighton away, Palace home, Brentford at home. How big are those 3 games in context of our season?
I don't like to say they must win, but it's a game where we need to kind of showcase what we're about this season and look to, we need to start gaining some points now. We've had this, we're injured, we're going through this, we're going through that. Yeah, I know that. It's kind of the preliminary honeymoon period of the season. Now we're getting into the nitty-gritty business end. This sort of stage of the season, the game's going to come thick and fast. We haven't got time to be dicking around. I mean, I know we're absolutely riddled with injuries and stuff, but promising stuff from LUTV today with Bamford and Cock training together, which is great. It's one of them. I mean, I've thought about it a lot. When you see us losing out, to teams like Tottenham. Tottenham are a great team, aren't they? Really, or they have been in previous seasons and stuff like that.
Not sure
challenging for Champions League. Well, they are. I mean, you look at the quality they've got throughout their squad. Their second team's probably. I don't want to say equal to our team because I think we've got a great set of lads, but the quality that they've got individually throughout that team is just ridiculous. And then we've got a few injuries, and we're having to rely on us under 23s. I mean, there is no squad depth. People go on about squad depth. What fucking squad depth? There isn't any.
No.
But I just think we really do need to knuckle down. Though, hopefully, we get a couple of players coming back. I was quite happy with how Gallat performed. I don't know how severe Rodrigo's injuries. Rafinha, massive miss. I think it'd have been a different kettle of fish should Rafinha have been playing on the weekend.
He'd win that game if he was playing.
I think you're right. But it is what it is. I've said many times this season. You can only piss with the dick you've got, and that's you can only play with the lads we've got available to us. So I think the performances are getting better. Results are going to come, especially. But Palace, Brentford. We really do need to be getting something out of these ones.
One thing I will say before you move us on stats is if Rafinha had played, that would have meant one of James or Harrison possibly not playing unless he put one in the middle again. So as a positive that I'm going to take from it, they both had good games and one of them wouldn't have had that performance otherwise in a game that we probably expected we wouldn't get much out of beforehand. So I guess that's a positive.
When that team sheet came out, I wasn't expecting to get anything at all.
I wasn't.
If I'm being perfectly honest. But I wasn't expecting us to be as dominant as we were in the first half. I thought if we play like that in the second half, we're absolutely flying. Like
Antonio Conte definitely wasn't expecting it.
No, and I think he must have given them a hell of a blasting at half time. So you kind of saw hit the post, didn't he? First minute of the second half, and they hit the crossbar, and they came out all guns blazing. But I think, from my perspective, they can just put two halves together, like we did against Leicester a few weeks back. They'll win games, and I'm not worried yet. Ask me in January when the transfer window opens, which we'll talk to in a bit more depth a bit later. But 26 games left to play this season. One thing I do want to ask you, Carl, how big is the Brighton game for you? Is it a must-win, or is it a case of must not lose?
I think it's more must not lose. Because it's important to pick up something from games. Because picking up nothing and playing as well as we did in the first half is going to demoralise a squad. Like, you know, they're going to be probably thinking, like, we're playing really well, we're getting players back, it's just not happening. Picking up a point is a far more positive outcome than picking up nothing at all and putting the pressure on the win. So I think it's a must not lose rather than a must win just now.
And we definitely don't want to be picking up the soap.
Yeah. Well,
I'm joking.
I think the Palace game is more winnable than the Brighton game because we're at home, and we can just slag them about needing a drum all the time. So that'll be fun.
Does it worry you, Jay, that Norwich have had the new manager bounce straight away? Dean Smith won his first game against Southampton. Villa got the new manager bounce.
Do you know what? It doesn't particularly. It doesn't really, because I think it is, as you say, it is just new manager bounce. And, you know, when somebody new comes in, they all want to impress, but they'll soon go back to the normal way of playing and way of training. Do you know what I mean? What's the novelty? Novelty will wear off and they'll go back to what they were, I think. I don't think it'll be a lasting thing.
Smarty, the big anomaly in all this is Newcastle United, who obviously appointed Eddie Howe. Obviously wasn't there for the Brentford game due to COVID. How much do you think that could affect Leeds this season, what they do in the January transfer window, if they do anything at all?
I don't want to upset any Newcastle fans, but hopefully none of them listen to this podcast. Fuck Newcastle. Who wants to go and play up there? I mean, they struggled to get anyone. They struggled to get a frigging manager, for God's sake. They had to rely on a chuffing second beat bloody manager from League One, which is what he is really. Isn't it? I mean, he did well, did Howe, like, but fucking hell. Who's going to want to go there? Oh, I know. We're going to sign someone on absolute mega bucks to come and play. You know, I mean. If they didn't have St. Maximin, they'd be absolutely up shit creek without a paddle, wouldn't they, them lot? Well, he's the only shining light that they've got. And I still don't think... There's a solid chance that they're going to go down still. They're not guaranteed to... I mean,
it would be amazing.
If you're a top player, who the fuck is going to want to go and sign for a bottom at league team? Especially when it's middle of nowhere, where they all eat haggis and raw sausage and all that sort of shit. Fucking hell. Wrong uns they are. But, you know, joking aside, they are, you know, you just don't know, do you? You really don't know. It looks like there's a couple of teams that have had the bubbles burst. Villa, we'll see how they get on. Brentford and a couple of others are starting to kind of find their place within the league and starting to come down. Hopefully, it gives us an opportunity, should we get some good results, we can start, you know, climbing. Once we start getting some good first-team players back, I think Ayling's a massive miss. You know, enough isn't, or he's not spoken about enough, that lad, how much and how detrimental he is to our squad, because he's just so good. As you know, the lads who are covering him, you know, Shackleton's had a go, Dallas likes to play there, and they do a good job, but Ayling on his day, he's just unreal. Him and Rafinha playing together, doing the overlaps and underlaps and stuff. You know, Firpo, apparently he looked bright when he came on. Forshaw Phillips seem to be doing magical in midfield. If you've got Bamford playing up front and Rodrigo coming into it, fucking hell, lads, it's a right team, innit? We're just, you know, it's a slow burner, but we're going to get there. So, like I say, fuck Newcastle. I've digressed a little tiny bit. I apologise. I can't see him signing any absolute top quality this year, or this January, should I say?
It'll be a bit like when City started out and they were signing like Bellamy and stuff like that. Do you know what I mean? It'll be like players who are a bit above where they are, but they ain't going to be superstars coming in. Not yet.
It's funny.
Not with them not knowing where they'll finish. I know, yeah. They've had all the crackpots, haven't they? Joey Barton, Lee Bowyer.
I think it took City a couple of transfer windows. I remember they did actually buy Robinho in September 2008.
They did, yeah.
They did their marquee signing. Mark Hughes stayed for a couple of years, and obviously they've went on to win trophy after trophy after trophy. It might take Newcastle a season to go down. I don't know. I think it could be a bit of a rat race between now and the middle of May with Newcastle, Norwich, Burnley. Watford, nobody knows. Had a great result against Man United, which obviously ended the tenure of Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. I think the one for me, lads, is to watch out for is Brentford. I think they've had a great start, and I think the bubble's burst a little bit at the moment. And I think that game on the 5th of December could be absolutely massive for our season.
Yeah, definitely. I'm feeling better about the prospect of playing them than I was a couple of weeks back.
I think the surprise element has gone a little bit. Brett watched them on the first game of the season against Arsenal on the Friday night, and I thought they were brilliant, but slowly but surely it's kind of caught with them. But they're the 3 games to come. One thing I did want to touch on is the predictions from Sunday. Yours truly is somehow up into second in the league table. With, 2 spot-ons against Leicester City and Tottenham. I've come to the party. Smarty, I don't know what you went for Sunday.
I went 2-1 Leeds.
Yeah.
Because I thought that big galoot Kane. Oh, that's certainly what he is when he plays for England. Fucking big useless daft bastard up front. And to be honest, he didn't do a lot, did he? Calvin had him in his pocket. But yeah, I went 2-1 Leeds.
Carl?
I don't know what I ended up with, if I'm being perfectly honest. Giddy could have done with sending us predictions.
Jay, do you know what you remember what you went for?
I either went for 2-1 Leeds or 3-2 Leeds because I was confident that we won't keep them out. But I'm
pretty certain Jay went for a loss. I think Jay talking shite.
I've never gone for a Leeds loss, and I never will. This positive business is costing me in that league.
I do have to say that the highlight of the game for me was when Calvin Phillips wiped out Andre Mariner. Terrific tackle on the referee.
He had it coming.
I think Mariner took it in good heart. Because there was an instant years and years ago when Paul Gascoigne picked up a yellow card.
Oh, God, yeah.
You might have all seen on YouTube.
Yeah, I remember.
The yellow card on the floor. Gazza holds the yellow card up to the referee and then he books it. So,
I remember
at least he took it in good heart. So,
look, talk about sour grapes.
Absolutely. Plenty of positives to build on. However, we go to a ground on Saturday afternoon, Saturday tea time. It's the late game, 5:30 kickoff at the Wick team. We've lost the last 5 at Brighton. We've not won in the last 7 at Brighton. The last 2 best results were 2-2 and 3-3 on 2 Friday nights consecutively in 2 seasons in 11-12 and season 12-13. I was down there in 2011. We were 2-0 up, cruising. Andy Keogh and Ross McCormack scored, and by the 80th minute, we're 3-2 down. Typical Leeds United. We get a late equaliser from Ross McCormack.
Yeah.
It's going to be a tough game. They've not won in 8. It was very similar to when they came to Elland Road back in January and they won 1-0. I think it was Mopé that got the goal off the top of my head for Brighton.
Moon pie.
What do you think to this one, Smart?
Moon pie.
Yeah, moon pie.
It's going to be a tough game, you're right. And again, it just depends what sort of team we've got available for us. They're quite a solid team, tough to break down. They like to, as cliche, whatever. They like to manage the game well. They like to contain the play. They're not as open. They're quite happy to sit and defend. It's going to be tough, and if we're not on it, and especially if we haven't got players like Rafinha, Rodrigo available to us, Bamford, I think that's a bit of a shot in the dark. We're gonna find it hard, but based on what we've seen, we've never had a player playing in the middle of the park like Gellert that'll run at players, that'll try and find them little. I mean, obviously, Bamford tries to exploit the spaces and running in behind and all that sort of stuff. But from a player, apart from Rafinha, running at players with the ball, trying to take him on and go around them, I think that'll be a good watch. So I'm looking forward to seeing if he plays. Rodrigo might be back, you don't know, but I'll be looking forward to it though.
Yeah,
It's a shame it's not at home, like, but
yeah, I think we've got them at home later in the season. We actually lost the last two against Brighton. They did a double over us last season. The game at the Withdean back in May was just a bit of a non-event, I think. The season had done and dusted. Evening, Bremner Ghost. Hope all is well with you. I will come to both Jay and Carl a bit later for Brighton, but I think it's poll time, Smarty, and I think we're going to the polls.
we certainly are. So this week's poll, the options were January signings, do we stick or twist? Rodrigo or Gelda up top? December's fixtures, FA Cup run, yay or nay? So with 9% of the vote, FA Cup run like fuck. 10%, at least it's Christmas. 15% is a top effort, and the winner with 66% of the vote is January shit or bust. So,
Yes.
Mr. Carl, actually, I'm going to come to you. January, shit or bust? Where do we strengthen? Have you got any targets for us? Given your connections within the wider range and world of football, all that sort of thing. You know, being the Chileno lookalike that you are.
You do, like, you know. So
Wants to stab me.
Yeah. Bag of lime and a shovel in my boot if I ever meet you. But anyway, we were going to touch on it earlier on. So I think it will depend on how we get on these next 3 games and how many points we can pick up in December will determine whether we...
Evening, Bronson.
Oh, hi up, Charles.
Super Mario.
So I think a lot depends on these 3 games specifically, and then I'd say there's a target for a minimum amount of points for December set out by the coaching staff, I'd imagine, because it's an absolute dickish run, like. So it will all depend whether I'd imagine that with the target they'd set, if they hit that target, then they may not delve into the transfer market because they'll have players coming back in and getting back to full fitness and stuff like that. So depending, in my opinion, that's how I'd set it out. These are the 3 important games, and then we set ourselves a target because the games in December, Jesus Christ, you couldn't have picked them if you wanted to, like. So that's where I think it'll matter is December, with a points target they'll probably set, in my opinion.
And what about the poll result, Carl?
Well, isn't it January transfer window is the bleeding poll result. So I'm giving you my opinion as to whether we will go into the fucking window or not.
Don't wind him up, Jay.
I'm going to fucking throw you through the next window I find you. So yeah, anyway, that's my reasoning for whether we will or we won't go into the January transfer window. Who we'd go after? Not a balls notion, man. Sure, we could go after that O'Brien lad again for all I know, like, you know. But he's coming on he's a free agent at the end of the season anyway, isn't he? So you know, they might chuck a few quid at Huddersfield and maybe grab him for a bit of cover and hope he can do whatever. And maybe offload Tyler on loan somewhere in January. Just he needs first team football and he needs it in the striker's position.
Somewhere else.
Striker. Well, like the thing was, we bought him as a striker and we've played him everywhere but as a striker. And he's not that kind of player. Like he is, you know, he's proven that he can kind of do it when he plays up front against Hull that time in the Championship, you know. But he needs time away. He needs January. I don't think we'll sign anyone in January.
So for those who are listening via the podcast and stuff like that, Luke's mentioned, I don't think we'll sign anyone. Generally, who can we look at signing? We'd be tempted to go back in for the lad from the Dog Botherers. For those who don't know who the Dog Botherers are, it's who we refer to as Huddersfield. Any ideas how he's getting on there? No, because I don't watch that fucking shit Farmers League shite anymore.
He's doing really well, Smarty. He's just signed a new deal.
Well, you're from Huddersfield, are you? You'll know. You've got your fingers in many pies around there, haven't you?
Not. He's excelling, apparently.
Is he?
Yeah, they're 7th at Huddersfield at the moment.
We've missed a trick there.
Yeah, they're just outside the playoff place. I think they've got a game tomorrow night.
But the thing is, though, is when I've seen bits of him, like in the summer and stuff, we were looking at targeting him, he looks like a Wish kind of version of Forshaw. And that's maybe a little bit harsh. possibly a little bit harsh. There would no doubt under under Bielsa and the coaching staff over at Thorpe Arch and that he would excel and he would be fantastic. But do we want more of the same of what we've got? I don't want to, mimic Radzi, but we do have Phillips and Forshaw now. We do still have Dallas and Click for them kind of roles. I mean, obviously, the latter obviously play further forward. We need a number 10 that can turn someone inside out and smash him into top right-hand side. That's what we need. We need someone like that. We need another striker, someone that can cover Rodrigo and Bamford when they can't score for Toffee.
I'm going to throw a couple of names in here. This is just me thinking out loud. First one, John Swift, Reading.
Don't know about him. I've heard about him.
Yeah.
But only recently. Couldn't tell you.
Carl, John Swift?
Again, I wouldn't know much about him now, if I'm being honest. But anything I've seen, he seems to be doing all right. Like,
and another name I want to throw, and we'll come to that point from Bremner's Ghost about December shortly. And this is just me completely thinking out loud. You're looking at Derby County's situation. They're probably going to go down this season. I know they beat Bournemouth at the weekend. They're currently on nil. I think they're 15 points away from safety at the moment in time. Tom Lawrence tears up in the Championship.
Could be a shout.
I'd love to sign Tom Lawrence. I would love to sign Tom Lawrence. And the only reason is so he can fucking grab a black bin lyre and start clearing up around Elland Road. Because fuck that fucking Derby wanker. And the rest of the shit houses. It might have been him who took a shite on bloody shower floor.
It might have been.
Probably, yeah.
Get him cleaning up. Get him cutting up lemons. Get him rubbing Marcelo's feet.
What's that young fella that they've got? The young fella that they have, he's like, 18 or 19. He's pretty good, that lad.
Louis Sibley.
That's the one, yeah.
Yeah.
Would you maybe take a chance on him? He seems fairly lively.
Yeah, because I think with the way Derby are going at the moment, obviously they're in administration, they've lost the points. I think Jason Kirch is looking to complete the deal to buy the football club. It's highly likely they're going to be in League One next season, barring a miracle. They win 5 more games than 3 more teams above them. So you might be able to cherry pick them. It's very difficult, January, because if you look back through the years, thank you, Bremner. Appreciate that. January is a very difficult window. I think the ones that I can remember down the years are Mo Barrow, Alfonso Pedraza that we got.
Oh, good God.
Pedraza was...
Wheelbarrow.
Barrow was involved for Villarreal against Man United tonight. Then a couple of years later, we got Kiko Casilla came in. Kevin came in. John Kevin
Big Kev
came in that didn't quite work out. So I know Tyler Roberts came in January 2018 and said Adam Forshaw. So to me, it can. Thanks.
Yeah, that's the one. The slow cap and fool for anyone listening on the podcast.
About Derby. I just feel, I think we need bodies. I really do. However, I think it can just be a notoriously difficult window to get players to join. And it's interesting you said about Newcastle there, Smarty. The players might not want to be involved in relegation battle. If Leeds, and I'm not hoping there won't be, at the wrong end of the table, is it easy to entice players to come to the club?
It's a very valid point.
Luke says bring Kiko back and play him up top. Says Mad Adam.
Yeah.
Make a striker out of him yet?
Yeah, he probably could. It's a very valid point, but I still think, regardless of where our league position is, you've always got the pull of Marcelo Bielsa. Okay. You look at, I mean, obviously Bruce is fucked off now, but you look at Steve Bruce and Marcelo, and you just think, you know. It's there's definitely some pull. You know, the atmosphere, Elland Road. There's definitely an attractive prospect in Leeds United. And to say that, you know, I don't really know too much about Newcastle, and we're going back to them, but I'm not sure what their injury woes are. I'm not sure how affected their squad is with injuries and stuff, but ours is massively. And I think come the end of December, hopefully we'll have picked up a little bit more form. We'll have some players returning. We'll have the cup run to come. You know, there's going to be a lot of games. There's going to be a lot of players playing a lot of minutes. You know, do we want to? I mean, it were one of the poll options, but do we really want to be looking at doing a cup run, or do we want to be concentrating on the league? I mean, we might not have an option. We'll probably lose the bloody first game, as we always do. But it's still more of an attractive prospect coming to Leeds than going to Newcastle, in my opinion. So,
of course it is.
But yeah, I think I'd probably try and look at the European markets because you're probably more likely to pick up a bargain or a better sort of player for your money rather than going domestically, especially in the lower leagues because it's always a gamble. If they're going to be able to step up, you never know. So many questions, not enough answers, but yeah, that's sort of my opinion.
I've heard Rads is going to start giving trials to some of these lads coming off at boats in Dover.
It's interesting you say about the FA Cup, Smarty, because Bielsa's never won an FA Cup title leagues. He's had 3 games, lost at QPR, lost at Arsenal, obviously lost last season at Crawley with what a really mismatch of a team. I think, from my perspective, the be all and end all is to stay in the Premier League and get your millions from the Premier League. Yeah, an FA Cup run may be great, but you don't want to end up being in the Championship winning the FA Cup. You want to stay in the Premier League and probably not winning the FA Cup, but I think that's a discussion for another day. One question I want to ask you, Jay, is how vital is January for what business we do for where we could end up at the end of this season?
I think it's essential that we do something. I think this run has shown that we don't have the depth needed and we are struggling, and there's got to be somebody out there that can contribute that we can afford without breaking whatever system we've got in place, you know? I think we've got to do something. I don't think we can afford to sit still. We don't know what the teams around us will do. We don't know what injuries will come down the line. We've got a lot of players to come back, but they're also coming back from long-term injuries now, some of them. And you often see players pick up muscle injuries and stuff when they first come back. So we've got no way of sort of banking on having the whole squad at any point. We have to accept that this could happen again. And we're probably not going to have everyone at the same time. We never do. So I think we have to do something. But obviously, not just anybody for the sake of it. It's got to be somebody that can contribut. That's the difficulty.
Someone that needs to hit the ground running as well.
Basically.
And it's funny you should say that. No, not like an half-digested biscuit sort of player that's going to need patching up before he's going to be ready, in 3 or 4 months, or never, as in Kev's sort of situation. But I would have and the proof's been in the pudding, I suppose, on numerous occasions where Marcelo won't strengthen his squad during the January transfer window. And I always thought, why would he? It takes players that come on board so long to get up to speed, to get used to the tactics, to blah, 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 blah. However, until Dan James, and he seemed to kind of hit the ground running. I mean, I don't think we've seen the best of Dan James. I think he's a cracking player. And I know I'm probably not alone, but thinking that I know he's getting a lot of probably warranted heat that, but, Harrison's been shit and he was one of the best players we had last season. So you just want to... You're adapting from playing Ole ball to Marcelo ball. There's got to be some sort of crossover. But if it's someone that fits the click, if it's someone that's available, the right player that we think we might be able to, affect the team positively as soon as they're introduced to the team, then yes. Otherwise, we might as well stick with what we've got.
Do you think Dan James has played more than he would have due to circumstances? Because I don't think he'd have played as much.
Well, it's not like Rafinha has been overly injured, has he? He hasn't missed that much action, and Harrison's been there or thereabouts. So there's always been 3 really available, and you've obviously had Somerville in and around it as well. So he's probably played more than I thought we would have seen him. But I think he's done all right. He's absolutely wicked.
Yeah, I think
he'll crack it. From what I saw of him on Sunday and the previous games as well, I thought he did all right. I think he's getting used to it. I think we're only seeing the tip of the iceberg with him.
Yeah, I think so.
Speaking like a January transfer window, do you think would he have been the difference if we actually signed him the first time? Because you were saying so. There to hit the ground.
Yeah, I think so.
You have to,
at championship level, I think absolutely. Yeah. He destroys teams in championship.
Someone with that pace in our system in championship would have been lethal.
Yeah.
But then we did say the same about Costa, so
he had a full summer to get used to it, and he still didn't.
I think if you look back at January 2019, obviously with the oh so near signing of Dan James, I honestly believe that he signed I think we'd have won the league. I think we'd have gone up automatically. I don't think we'd have had the blip over sort of end of March, losing to Sheffield United and losing home to Wigan, 10-man Wigan, and then losing to Brentford. And I think we'd have had a bit more. I can't read that, but Brenda's goes. Would add a bit more about us. But I think just a point on Dan James, as Luke rightly says there, I think he's starting to find his feet. I think it was always going to be difficult coming from Man United, where obviously we've seen the problems that's happened with Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, to a completely different way of training under Marcelo. We all know about Murder Ball and Bielsa Ball on a Wednesday. That it's a different way of method as well. So I think he's starting to find his feet. He's also had a newborn. He flew, I think, down to Craven Cottage for the League Cup tie. So I think he's starting to find his feet. And if Jack Harrison can get back to confidence, we know Jack can do. I think we're going to have some players on our hands there, Smarty. I think we can start climbing this table.
Absolutely, mate.
Yeah. I think so as well. I think that's why it's nothing really to worry about at the moment. Like I understand people like you. There is some cause for concern, but not to the extent that you see some people talking online. And everyone's entitled to their opinion, but I just think just chill till after Christmas. If the shit's going to hit the fan, it'll hit it after Christmas. See where we are then.
Do you think, Carl? Then the transfer window in January, will that depend on if players are coming back to full fitness, or do you think that we'll have a list there with Victor and Marcelo to try and get one or two in January?
Well, we know Marcelo doesn't like spending money, and it was evident in his press conference after the Tottenham game when he was asked about the January transfer window, And I think my personal opinion is that if, they're going to do anything and we get the players back that they want, and I think they'll set a target of, obviously they'll go out and they say we feel we can win every game. Be realistic behind closed doors and set yourself a target and do it that way, and then see where we're at. We'll have how many players we'll have back, by the end of the month coming into Christmas. We'll have Bamford, we'll have Cock, definitely have Raf, I'd imagine, and we'd have Rodrigo back depending on how serious that's 4 key players there. Ailing we don't know because it's still a bit,
Doesn't like spending money, Dan James. Fair point. 25 million. I do see your point.
Yeah, that was more of I fucking want that player now because I missed out the first time. That was the more that kind of I'd say spend rather than stupid money anyway.
Everyone's allowed a little bit of luxury every now and again, aren't they?
Yeah, of course they are.
And that were Dan James is the glint in Marcelo's eye, isn't he?
How scared do you think Victor is when he fails to get a player that Bielsa's asked him for?
I reckon he eats his lunch in the toilets. Marcelo comes in and starts knocking fuck out of him.
Give me your lunch money.
I just want to go around you just to finish off the discussion with January. One player or one position that you'd like to see improved. I'll start with you, Smarty. If they could go out and get one player in a position, what position would you like to see?
It'd have to be a number 10.
Yeah.
It'd have to be, for me.
Carl?
I without sounding boring or anything, I think the same, because for the first time in years, we're absolutely flush with wingers and flush with centre-backs. So I think the one place we need it is the creative bit, which would be the 10.
Same for you, Jay?
Yeah, it's a clean sweep. I can't argue with that. I don't think we're lacking as much in any other position.
There is a player in Spain, I can't remember his name, Pablo, someone that's...
Escobar?
Yeah. We won't talk about him. But is that the kind of player that we're after, a kind of a magician on the ball that can kind of make things happen? Is that I think that's where we're lacking at the moment?
I was going to go further when I said about a centre attacking midfield or a number 10. I was going to say someone like Pablo Hernandez, someone who can lock defences with a simple ball, someone who's got a really, really good vision, who can read the game as well as Calvin Phillips, but from more of an attacking perspective. Can we have Pablo Hernandez back? But 10 years younger, please.
Yeah. Where's
he's on my Santa list.
Sammy say he's another one.
He'd have been great in this team.
Never quite.
He was great. He was great. For the first 6 or 7 games. No, he played a few games under him. They were lightning. They were absolutely fantastic going forward. They were unreal.
I remember one game at Sheffield Wednesday when Click scored the goal from just outside the penalty area. So I had a massive hand in that and thought it was one of his best games under Bielsa, but for reason or another, it didn't work out. One last question on this before we move on to Brighton. And I'll go around the room again. Do you think we will buy anyone in January? Start with you, Smarty.
No.
Carl?
I don't think so.
And Jay,
Yes,
you do.
I do.
I'm going to go
That's
with
right.
Jay because I think a lot depends. Obviously, on those horrible 4 fixtures we've got coming, might win them all for all we know. With those 4 fixtures, Kelvin
Yeboah.
I
Nice
take
name.
it is that Tony's son? I'm guessing.
No idea. Gonna have to.
That will be. So it's a very rare name. I just feel that depending where we are in that league table come January the 1st, I still believe Victor will have his list of players to go out and try and improve the squad. Because you're always looking to improve, whether it's a loan deal, I don't know, or whether it's a permanent deal for a contract. But obviously,
Victor's been locked in his office for last month playing FM22.
Yeah, something like that. I think January is vital, not just for Leeds, but for all clubs. But thank you for that. That's a really intriguing discussion on January. We'll have more poll options on the Auto Knows Better Twitter accounts next week, so keep an eye out for them next Tuesday and keep voting as well. So we do move. You're already smart. I'll sort of come to Jay first with Saturday's game. It's another trip to a place we don't have a great record at Brighton, and it's sort of the Ben White derby. Obviously, they had a brilliant season at Leeds, and also now down at the Emirates at Arsenal. How key is this game for us on Saturday tea time, Jay?
Well, I think it'll start with both teams laying a wreath for Ben White in the centre circle. A minute's silence. Black armbands will be on. And once that gets out of the way, we can get to serious business. And I'm hoping that we're going to beat them. The form's dropped a little recently, hasn't it? I think. And after a good start. And I mean, I don't want this to come back and bite me, but Potter's hardly a genius, is he? So.
Honest to fucking God, Jay, man, you're the Phil Hay of this fucking podcast.
So hopefully, Marcelo will outsmart him, and we'll get that long overdue win. I think it's a team that we could beat. I think they should be on our radar, and I think we need to sort of give it us all in this next sort of 3 games because I think we need 6 points out of the next 9.
Just want to obviously thank our sponsors, 3 Retro, yet again doing superb work for us always on the pod. Just sort of looking at the results, Carl, that I don't think they've won in 7 games, 8 games. They beat Brentford back in September 1-0, and then they beat Leicester 2-1 in the Premier League. They've not won since then, and I've seen the beat Swans in the League Cup. Drew at Brighton, drew to Arsenal, drew away at Norwich, got hammered by Man City, drew at Leicester again, got an impressive result against Liverpool, and then drew against Newcastle at home and lost at Villa away. Can Leeds kind of play on that they've not won in 7 games, or is it a bit more of a dangerous opponent, do you reckon?
I think they're always going to be a bit of a bogey team for us. It's like when I was watching Leeds in the 90s, our bogey team was always Norwich. Yes. For me, before we relegated them, obviously. But they were always the team that I dreaded us going to Carrow. I always dreaded going to Carrow Road as a Leeds fan because it was just so dodgy. And I think Brighton at the moment, they're like that for us. They're just that team that we just need that win down there just to kickstart a run of wins down there, that kind of way. And I think the if we nullify Trossard, I think if Calvin can do to Trossard what he did to Kane in the first half on Sunday, I think this is probably a great chance because he's like they've not really they've not really been using Mopay, is it? Mopay? No, that's right, Moon pie. Yeah, they've not really been using him a lot. They've put a lot. Like when you see a lot of stuff going forward for them, it's like he's taking it up in the midfield and then deciding where it's going, and then he's ploughing on, receiving balls back again. I think he's kind of the player that we just need to kind of to look at and just maybe keep an eye on because that's like without being their creative flair, he always seems to be their creative flair. Like.
Mm-hmm. I'll come to you, Smarty, just sort of looking at the Brighton 11 that started against Villa last week. Alexis McAllister, I think, is a very good player, was left on the bench. Also, they've got Adam Lallana in there, they've got Trossard in there, they've got Murder and Yves Bissouma, Pascal Gross. How important is it that Leeds get off to a good start on Saturday? I know we did that against Tottenham, didn't we? We lost the game 2-1. But how important is it they get off to a good start and then build on that? Because it's very rare that we score more than one goal away from home, apart from sort of the Norwich game. These are the only time we've done it this season. It's massive, really, for us, isn't it?
I'd say it's imperative that we win.
Yeah.
Maybe that's, living a bit, overboard. But I think I've always thought that we play better when we soak up a lot of pressure in the first 15, 20 minutes. And then kind of get a feel for how the opposition are playing and stuff like that. We haven't really seen a lot of that this year. We've obviously been very hit and miss, and you look at the game against Tottenham, and we were bang at it from literally from the first whistle. I would probably like to see Brighton attack us initially in the first 10, 15. Soak up a little bit of pressure, kind of get them on the back foot a little bit, and then try and do something with the ball and try and play some aggressive, fast football. Tiki-taka or whatever you want to call it. I don't really. Marcelo ball will do. Yeah. But yeah, I think it's imperative that we're putting a good performance, just for the confidence of the lads. I think that we need to really. It's one of them, innit? Yes, we do need to win. We do need to start winning. We need to start getting some points on the board because, like I said, that we're well into the second third of the season now.
Yeah.
The honeymoon period's over. We were past the point, right? Oh, well, yeah, we didn't win then. And, it'll come, lads. It'll be this and the other. Yeah, I get that. But against teams like Brighton, against teams like Palace, against teams like Brentford, we need to be getting some points. Because if we don't, when the lads will be looking at that table and thinking, fucking hell, we can't even beat Brighton. It will be having an adverse effect on them mentally. Of course it will do. Yeah. So we need to put in a decent performance against them. Absolutely.
I'll go around the room again, and it's usually that time. I'm sure someone will note them down. We'll start with predictions. We'll start with you, Carl. Predictions for the 5:30 kickoff between Brighton and Albion and Leeds United.
You get shit off me. You write it down. It'll be whatever anyone else gives me, man. I think it's.
I'm writing Carl as 2-1 to Leeds.
Well, that's clearly what I'm going with, stats.
We go 2-1. Hopefully we'll have some news. The press conference, I think, is on Thursday at 1 p.m. Obviously, this is going out live today on Tuesday evening. So hopefully we'll have some positive news. It might be too soon for Bamford, I'd imagine. But hopefully we'll see the likes of Rafinha and possibly Rigo back in the starting 11 on Saturday tea time. Jay,
do you know
what are you going to say, mate?
I was just going to say about the Bamford thing there. Like, they're only showing us on the pitch today. Like, he could be on the pitch for the last week and a half for all we know. Like,
yeah, that's very true.
That's true.
You know?
Yeah.
So he could be, But anyway, sorry, Jay, go on.
They said they showed the same sort of video for Cock last week, and he's nowhere near starting 11 though, is he? Or even match day squad. So
yeah,
but he's been out a lot longer.
I don't want to piss on your chips, Carl.
Right, well, I think I'm going for a resounding 3-0 victory for Leeds.
Ooh.
Fucking hell, Jade. I'm not
We're
sure.
We're coming out fighting.
Positivity, I like it.
That's right.
And I am going to go for a victory for Leeds. I think they're going to end the nightmare at the Amex, and I think they'll win 2-0. I fancy us. I don't know why. I just fancy us on Saturday tea time. It'll be a game where the season really clicks into gear, and I think the performances are coming.
Yeah, I think so too.
Luke's gone 2-1 there, Smarty.
Yeah, I've got it down. I'm going to do.
Oh, Luke, brilliant.
4-2 Leeds.
Oh.
We've got a fans prediction, I think, from Bremner's Ghost.
Got a fans Bremner's Ghosts here. Chip Steelers 1.
Leeds 2.
That's it.
Sweet. That's the fans prediction. So
clean sweep.
Man, I tell you what, Bremner's Ghost quick off the mark there. We usually have to mention it, but he's like, fuck that, I'm getting in here.
That's it.
How much is he being paid to comment all this sort of stuff?
I don't know who's keeping track of it. Like,
is he on books? I've got it all down. You know, like.
The last time we actually faced Brighton towards the back end of November away at Brighton, we actually won 3-0, which was back in 2009. Jermaine Beckford, Robert Snodgrass and Neil Kilkenny got the goals on the pouring
Jesus Christ.
The old Wigdean Stadium back then. So hopefully that's a little omen. But yeah, hopefully we won't repeat that here.
Not as bad as my Chelsea comment last week.
Yeah. Hopefully we're all we're singing from the same hymn sheet and we get 3 points, and hopefully when we look back, I know we've got Crystal Palace, which was on the books. We've got Crystal Palace as well to come on Tuesday night, and hopefully by the time obviously we all come together again, we're higher up on the table. And yeah, it's a game, in my opinion, Leeds do have to win, and hopefully they'll get the 3 points and things look a lot brighter on sort of Saturday evening as I sit down and watch Strictly Come Dancing. So there you go. I should admit that.
Come on.
That's a totally different podcast, man.
There you go.
I know it's been a hard season, but you don't have to resort to that.
I digress. We've got a few things I just want to sort of touch on in the last 10 minutes or so. This coming Saturday is the 10th anniversary of the sad passing of the title winner Gary Speed at the young age of 42. I just wanted to ask you, I know we said off air you don't remember too much about him, but sort of your memories of that day when it came through on the news. He tragically lost.
Oh, we've lost him.
Someone's paused stats.
Oh well.
We're doing so well there, wasn't he? Are you back? Are you back?
I'm back. I don't quite know what happened there. I think the internet just decided to.
Yeah, feed your gerbil. Your broadband's dying.
There's some gerbils in it.
He's collapsed in his hamster wheel.
It's something like that. But yeah, as I was saying, it's sort of 10 years this Saturday since the sad passing of Gary Speed, and I think it hit everybody like a truck that Sunday lunchtime when the news came through on the TV, on the Sky and what have you. What are sort of your memories of that day 10 years on, Smarty?
It's funny when people talk about it and stuff like that, you kind of get that similar sort of like stomach churning, like your whole body is just dropped sort of feeling. Yeah. We had a quick talk about it in here, and I liken it to the fact that, you know, we've lost quite a lot of people, you know, due to mental health and other you know, instances and stuff like that. But it just, because it was just someone so close to home and it meant so much to so many people, it was just, I think I was kind of shocked. I don't really remember, apart from a couple of celebrities, maybe on the lines of, and I'm digressing slightly here, Steve Irwin, you know, and Alan Rickman were a big shot for me. Robin Williams, that sort of, it were like, holy fucking shit. You know, I remember when the 9/11 attacks were happening, it were like a stop you in your tracks sort of thing. Holy fuck, what's going on? And I remember when I found out about Gary, you know, passing on, it was just shocking and it was horrible, you know. Yeah. And you think about how many people it's affected and also what he must have been going through, you know, to have to do that sort of thing. It would just, like I say, it makes me feel like someone's washing up in my stomach. That's the closest I can probably give to as an answer. It were a very, very sad day.
Yeah, same with you, Carl.
Yeah, like you don't ever expect like your heroes to kind of. I remember where I was with that too, Luke.
Yeah,
you don't ever expect your heroes to kind of go that young, you know.
No.
But like I grew up watching them like when I started supporting Leeds, like, and it was just obviously he went on to other clubs and stuff like that, but it was horrible, man. He was always Leeds. Like, he won the title with us. He was, you know, he was there. Like, he was always there, and he was, I don't know. It was terrible watching it back home because, like, unlike a lot of people, like if you lived in Leeds, you could go down to Ellen Road and pay your respects, and we were just watching it back home. And me and my mate, and well, Barry and Jimmy, we were just watching it on Sky News most of the day. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's just horrible. Like, just. I don't know, yeah. And then like Eddie Gray gets brought out for absolutely everybody.
Oh,
like,
no.
you know, and that must be killing him now at this stage. Like,
what?
Yeah, it was very sad.
Yeah.
Like,
I think that's why we need to wrap up the likes of Howard Wilkinson in Cornwall.
Eddie Gray more than anyone, really.
Eddie Gray, absolutely.
Give them statues or something now before anything fucking happens. Like,
I think I've seen a lot of calls with Howard Wilkinson to sort of name Thorpe Arch after him for what he did to sort of have that complex bill, because it was his idea to have that bill, and obviously the last English manager to win the first division title as well, which will go down in history. Of course, with City, Liverpool, or Chelsea will win it this season. So, what are your sort of memories of Gary Speed, Jay?
to be honest, quite vague for me because, as we were talking about off air, like I didn't watch a lot of football in the early 90s because my mum just hated sport and I never got to watch anything like that. My dad's a rugby.
It's from Huddersfield, remember? He didn't have a colour TV. He only started watching matches in 2000.
Well, I mean, I grew up in Leeds because that's where I'm from, but let's not let facts get away, Smarty. Just because you had a projector and stuff like that in your mansion, your room were bigger than most people's houses where I grew up, that kind of thing.
I'd out of the box.
Yeah, I can imagine. My memories are vague. I just remember him as a Leeds legend. I have vague memories, bits of games that I watched early on when I started following Leeds, and he was just one of them people that everybody rated highly. Nobody ever said anything bad about him as a person. Like, I've never heard a bad word said about him as a person, even now. And it was just shocking. It was just one of them things that was just so out of the blue. Like, if you could have guessed at anything happening, it would never have been that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And the fact that it's not just the fact that he died; it's the fact that why he died. You know what I mean? And that's the worst part, and that's why it feels like such a waste. And it just shows you that if you don't let stuff out and you don't talk to people, people don't know what's going on, so they can't help. You might not want to talk to people sometimes. That's fair enough, but you can't hold stuff down forever on your own. You just can't. And I think Gary Speed shows us that.
From my perspective, I've obviously battled with my own demons, and coming onto the podcast, coming into the group has helped me enormously. And I think from my perspective, it's vital that people do talk and seek out, because you're never on your own. And Andy's Man's Club is a brilliant institution that has been set up all around the country through Luke Ambler, former Halifax Rugby League player, and so many people are going through that as well. So from my perspective, I think it's vital to, if you're having any mental problems, just talk to somebody. It might be the smallest thing, it might be the largest thing. Open up, and it might save your life at the end of the day. And I think for me, I just remember sitting on my bed and I was doing some writing on my laptop, and one of my mates popped up on Facebook saying, "Rest in peace, Gary Speed." And I'm thinking, he was on Football Focus literally 24 hours previous. I'm thinking,
I remember that.
Yeah. Geez, Gary
just been on TV.
And I remember I jumped in a taxi and I laid some flowers down on the Bremner statue, literally within half an hour of hearing the news. And it didn't really sink in. And I think even now it's probably not sunk in. And I think it'll be all in his thoughts on Saturday tea time, especially in Bryn Law's thoughts, because Bryn and Gary were so close with Bryn Walsh as well. So, and
I just sorry to do, when you're just talking about Bryn Law, I think that's one of the hardest things to watch. When you see him physically break down when he's talking about Gary and see what he meant to so many people and stuff like that. It's heartbreaking, isn't it? It's horrible. I do find that quite a difficult watch. You can see just how much emotion's pouring out.
It wasn't just him being interviewed; he was reporting on one of his best friends having it happened the way it happened, and like that. I'm surprised he even did it. Like, to be fair, that took a lot of guts to do that, man, because you saw the result of what happened at the end. It was just very difficult with TV watching. Like, you know what I mean? You're right, Smarty. It wasn't. That's the one part of it as well. Because he's just standing beside Bremner's statue, and
absolutely
the poor fella, but
I think the final word we'll say, and I know there's going to be a lot more tributes leading up to the weekend. The midfield we had: Speed, Batty, McAllister, Strachan, that won us the league in 1992. Fantastic midfield, and I don't think that'll ever be replicated. And I'm sure all of our thoughts go out to the family of Gary Speed, his wife, should I say, not his late wife, his wife as well, and all the family. So I'm sure they'll be in his thoughts on Sunday, on Saturday lunchtime, and Saturday tea time when Leeds do kick off, and hopefully they can get the right result. Just sort of uplifting it a little bit. There's been something in the news today that I wanted to talk about. A Leeds Rhinos legend, Kevin Sinfield, has run 101 miles from Welford Road, Leicester, is his new club, to Leeds Rhinos in support of Rob Burrow and MND.
Jesus Christ.
And Smarty. I can barely run a mile. What Kevin Sinfield is, he's absolutely amazing.
We won't get into me running after football of the week.
Just walking fast.
Not even that.
I think the idea, the 101 miles was just the 1 mile was to go that extra mile for his mate. I think was the reason for the 101 miles.
And
but you got to admire him. Like it's an absolutely fantastic achievement. Something over like £1 million he's raised between the 7 marathons and 7 days.
What an athlete he is, and he's already got an OBEs, Kevin Sinfield. I don't think he'll be far away from what he tries. It's absolutely tremendous game. And I think he'll need to put his feet up for a year. I'm hoping he might get a Sir in the New Year's Olympics. James playing England against Germany.
No, I didn't do that many U-turns.
There was no rugby tackles either, so you were saying.
Very good. I just want to finish off tonight's pod. Coming to Carl, I do believe you've got a bit of a competition for us.
Yeah, like we mentioned there last week, there was the potential to enter a good competition. So we've got a signed shirt off the King of the Shithouses, Matthias Klick. So we'll be putting details on the pod towards the end of the week as to the charitable foundations that it's the money being raised is going to. It'll be an entry for a raffle, and then we will pick someone's name out live on the pod towards the end of the Christmas. There was no anyway. So yeah, just keep an eye out on the Or to Know Better pod page on Twitter for details on how to enter, and it's for two good causes, which will be released on the tweet as well. So just think Christmas time and being nice and stuff.
It's not Christmas time; it's Clitchmas time.
Clickmas. That's right. And on the Christmas note, I'm just gonna show you my new mate.
Oh,
brilliant!
Right, it's still November, so let's put the decorations away just yet, Dave.
Yes,
there's none of that. It's a present. It's a present.
Don't be so miserable, Cal. It's so miserable there.
All right, okay, put it up somewhere then. Go
Right, I think that's just a wrap. Thank you so much for looking after me in my presenting debut tonight. Thank you to Smarty for joining us.
Thank you very much.
Thank you to Carl.
Cheers.
And thank you to Jay.
No problem.
And I think we'll be back, I'm guessing next Wednesday, because we've got Crystal Palace at a stupid o'clock time at 8:15 kickoff next Tuesday night after Brighton. So thank you all for watching. I hope you all enjoyed the show. And we'll see you very, very soon. Thank you.
Take care.